Hey guys, welcome to part 2 of my first interview with MAKALA MEEKS. Take it away, MAKALA. And we're picking up literally right where we left off in the first one.
Holidays, any kind of holiday or back to school time or different things, there's always a big event they would want to do with not a lot of people or resources to
Yes,
do
I
some of these events.
I don't know when that started becoming a thing, but as I the past couple of years have been doing this and checking out all the Facebook pages, um, it's standardized too. It's always like a balloon arch, and they go over and they
Yes.
can take pictures over there, and there's
Mm-hmm.
food, and there's a big push. And Devonshire said it himself recently about tricking people into coming. Like they think it's just this event, but there's more to it than that. And that is what it is. It's almost like a corporate a corporatized way of getting customers, because if you really were about these people hearing the gospel and everything, you'd be
Mm-hmm.
spread out all over the world and not in these big conglomerations and not promoting the idea of lots of people. And so there's nothing wrong with having events, but when it has to be, when it is a corporate thing, and I know it has to
Yeah.
be because everyone was doing it. If you believe God is who He is, and you have faith to believe that He's going to reach people, then why are there so many works involved? And why, like
Yeah.
corporatized, why not let, if the Archibalds say, well, we may not do something for this holiday, but maybe we'll do this little thing, or we'll something
Yeah.
on your
Never a little
own.
thing. Always have to be a
Yeah.
huge, big lights, cameras, action. Very and way over glamorous, but the whole point of these events was numbers,
Yes.
all about the
Yes.
numbers.
Yes.
And you kind of had touched on it earlier about the soul winning wasn't really about souls.
No.
um it was just about inviting people
Numbers.
to a church,
Yeah. Numbers
just
and
getting
money.
people in the, yes. And so I saw that a bit, and that was kind of the push why they would do these big events and stuff. Like, oh yeah, a lot of people are going to turn out because they want to eat the food or they want to
Yes.
get a backpack for
Free
their
stuff.
kids and stuff.
Yep.
And
That's
it
how
wasn't
businesses
about
do it.
the people though, about the souls. It's just about the numbers, and oh, if they get in, they'll be tithe payers. It's like it was about them getting in,
Yes.
which means get in with the activities, not so
Yes.
much like get a reality with God
Yes.
for real. So that was something I kind of also noted and looked back in hindsight, like this is
Let
it's
me
not
ask you
how
something
church
to
should be.
around that. I noticed when I was looking on the Facebook pages, I think this happened during the time when Keckle made a big deal about William Davis asking a question about world missions on his Facebook page. It
Mm-hmm.
was a totally valid question. Somebody wants to know, and people should be accountable when they receive money from people on a regular basis. Didn't you make some sort of cupcakes or something?
Um, when I was in Florida,
Well, okay, let me say
I
this. Where were you that, unless I'm colliding and merging two different, which I could be, I'm old enough to do stuff like that. I recall on, it might have even been on your Facebook page about making cupcakes or something. Did you ever make a cupcake?
I made a lot of stuff. I can't remember.
Okay. All right. So
I
let's
don't
backtrack.
remember. Like there would be sisters that would bake and raise money for it.
Oh,
Um,
really? That's
yes.
interesting.
Mm, sometimes people would bake.
And
Oh
as
yeah, I
ministers,
remember that.
or in Bible school especially, you were expected to give. There was no, let me pray about it. No, you will. You will give in
Mm-hmm.
all the different things. And so I just wondered, all right, so I may, so you were kept busy and there weren't enough of you there to, you had to
Yes,
always be the ones to be doing it, right?
all of the stuff exactly. a lot of late nights and things like that, you know, preparing for things, a lot of hours given to it. And I feel like I have a very agreeable personality, and I'm not gonna like push back a lot on things. And something kind of the Lord has taken me through a process to stop doing was people pleasing,
Oh
because that
yeah.
was one of my top toxic trait is people pleasing.
Oh yeah.
And so we would be doing these events and stuff, and even if it wasn't just a big event or just, you know, just regular things, we would have to do so much, and I would feel like burnt out, but I wouldn't want to, you know, advocate for myself or say, you know, I'm tired, or I don't want to do this, or I can't do this. And I
Right.
would feel like I'm going against, you know, them, or going against God's program if I do speak up or say something.
Right.
So sometimes I felt like because of my personality, I could get ran over, and like my kindness kind of would get taken advantage of
Yes.
because of my agreeableness. And I would kind of go along with everything. I would always say like, oh yeah, yeah, that's fine, I'll do this.
Right. Instead of
And
saying like, excuse me, will there be helpers involved? You know? Will we have help? Will we have sous chefs or something?
yeah, and it just was very, I just remember I would get really, really infuriated sometimes. I would get angry
Yeah.
because I'm just getting, you know, pulled so many different ways and doing so much, but I felt like I couldn't express that. I just felt like, oh no, I can't say anything because then, you know, I'll be wrong for saying something. So sometimes that did come out negatively in my performance, though. And I would either have an attitude or I would have outbursts sometimes, just different things. And so then we'd have to talk about it and what to, you know, what to do from there on. And then another thing, we would go to, they would have local fellowship meetings like around, you know, sometimes we would go to Jacksonville or go up to
Right.
Georgia for a fellowship. And so we would always try to go to the local ones because, you know, that's less expensive than going to a conference. So we would
Oh
help each
right.
other out, you know, to go do those kinds of things. But I remember sometimes even when we would do those, we were still working and doing stuff there. Like I remember one time we did a like a birthday party for Keckle. I think we did a,
Oh
yeah,
my
birthday
God. Are
party.
you kidding me?
And yes, and
Jeez.
we're like up and do, you know, helping to get it together and stuff. And all the, like, somebody, I can't remember who orchestrated it, but they had the other churches around the state send in like a happy birthday video and put this big video together for him,
Oh my
all for this
God.
guy, you know, who's going to go back to Graham and say nobody does anything for him,
Right.
which is great.
Right.
And
Right.
uh,
Oh
I
my
just,
God. That's terrible because when you're, especially if you're hosting, I know from hosting like a fellowship meeting, you want it to be, there should be that compassion of the brethren that, and I don't know. I mean, on one hand, I can say, well, Keckle probably didn't know about it, so maybe if he had known, he'd say, no, you guys just get together, relax, enjoy each other. But there's always something, and it always involves lifting up them. Or it's Tanya's birthday. Recently, I saw, I think it was last year, she was somewhere, and they're, oh, it's Sister Keckle's birthday. Just oohing and eyeing him. I mean, I'm surprised they weren't crawling down behind her. Oh, let me keep your feet clean while you walk, you know.
yeah,
It's just, it's over the top, and
yeah,
it's people worship.
it is. It is. And that is not healthy. That's
No,
not healthy
no,
at all.
no.
It's
And
not.
they think they're like, oh, I'm honoring the man of God. And it's been lifted up to a place where it's, that's why that guy can get up behind the pulpit. That's why Davis could, and just say whatever they
They're
want,
empowered.
humiliate whoever they want, and you're going to go along with it because it's been implanted in you. And I really believe, like, they have all these were they doing the pastor appreciation days when you were there?
I don't think think so. I can't.
Oh,
Not that I
okay.
can recall.
Right. Because across a lot of the churches end up in Graham, that became a thing. I don't know
Hmm.
when it started, but I thought, who came up with this idea? Are you going to tell me someone at the top didn't? Like, that's weird to me. It's almost like, let's have Tracy Pelfrey Appreciation Day. Oh,
Hmm.
who thought that up? Oh, it wasn't me.
There's
You know what
there
I
is
mean?
a Pastor Appreciation Month, I believe, and I think it's like November or something. I can't remember what
Yes.
month it is.
Yes.
I do think we did like a little local one time in
Yeah.
Florida
Yeah,
for
that's what I
Archibald.
mean. Did they
Yeah,
do
I
it?
think we did do
Yeah,
one
because they
one
do it
time
in
that I
all the
can remember.
churches. And I'm like, you're celebrating their birthdays like they're kings and queens and princes. And you're doing this pastor. How about find the person that just dutifully comes in each week? And if you're going to do that for anyone, I don't know. I just, all these events and exactly what you're describing is across the board in the organization. It's like, who came up with the ideas to do pastor appreciation? I mean, come on. It didn't come from some lowly member in the church like, we don't honor these men enough, and it is pastor appreciation month after all. You know, it's that's a
Yeah,
that's a cultural thing. So why are you bringing that in?
yeah.
I don't know. I'm ranting. I'm sorry.
But it does kind of, it brings to light kind of the mindset of what are you doing for me? That kind of seems to
Yes.
be the mindset of a lot of the pastors, and even in Florida, that was kind of the mindset because we were such a small church.
Yes.
Um, they had to do a lot of the stuff, And I remember him telling Archibald telling us, I shouldn't have to do, these different things. I should be at the door greeting the people when they come in, but I have to help set up the church and stuff. But it's like, we don't
Yeah.
have anybody to do
That's
anything.
so, you know what? That's a great point because I know when we went out to Pittsburgh and then we took over in Newport News, Virginia, and found out what um, dictators that husband and wife were to the church members there, demanding of them money for
Oh,
sending them to conference for their, the wife would say, oh, this is a good idea to get my husband for his birthday. Oh, this is what to get my wife. And it's never anything cheap,
yikes.
or frugal. And they're constantly doing this. They are being tasked with doing the stuff. But
Just these
whenever you
burdens.
go out to start a church, or it doesn't even matter if it's in place already. I can't imagine the mindset of, I just want to roll up like the Keckles. Someone said to me recently, I didn't want to sit in the back with Tanya. She had airs about her, like coming in at the last minute with her sunglasses on, like the paparazzi were chasing her. And I'm like, that is exactly what it's like. And these people they think they've arrived if they can emulate them. Instead of
Yes,
you, as the
being
pastor
a
and his wife,
servant.
you're there early. You're setting up, you're wiping down. I taught children's church. It's what you do. Who
Yeah.
cares if there's a special being sung, Who cares?
Hmm.
Just sing something out. Oh, I don't know. That's just
There's, yeah, there's a lot of stuff
there's
like
all the
that gets
layers of
left.
the
Hmm.
worship, and you can't come now and say, no, we don't worship the Keckles, we just appreciate them. Like the Cardenases over in Hawaii, it's like they wee all over themselves when they come down. They're like little puppy that can't control its bladder, all over the newspaper in the kitchen because my mentor is here. I mean,
Hmm.
it's creepy from my point of view, I guess, Michaela, because I see a broad spectrum of it every week in looking in on the churches.
Hmm.
But you are tuned into that just from being in Graham and Florida. And so that's
Hmm.
quite something. That means you were, you know, paying attention.
Yep. Yep. It's wild. I just I just see how the leadership could just be abused and they take advantage of people, wanting to, please God, but it's not.
But is that what
It's
he
not what God
wants?
wants them to do.
Right. Is that what he wants
It
them to
doesn't.
do?
You know.
How long did you stay in Florida?
I was in Florida for 2 years. For about 2 years, or almost 2 years. I don't even think it was a full 2 years. So while I was there, I started dating this wonderful guy that I had married.
Eric! Oh!
started talking to somebody, and that is where things started to change up a lot. That's kind of where things uh, things started to get shaken up a bit. So Eric started. I got to Florida in May, and I think I started talking to Eric May, June. It was probably about July, like the end of July. So most of the time that I was in Florida, I was talking to Eric. We were in a relationship for pretty much most of
How did you begin talking? Like, did you meet
we
each other at a conference or something?
no. Funny enough, it's an interesting story. He told me he had liked me when I was still in Graham before I had left, but he didn't tell me. So I didn't know, and I
Right.
wasn't paying no type of attention. So I moved. I had already moved, and he wanted to know what happened to me.
Aw.
And so once he found out, he reached out. I think he had one of his friends, because he doesn't do the social media, so he
Right.
had one of his friends reach out to me, and then we ended up switching numbers, and that's how we started talking.
Did
I
you
actually
need
wasn't
to
going to
do
talk to him.
did you need to get permission at the time?
I think the rules were open, because you know how they'll close the rules. They'll say people can't talk, and then they would have like these, at least during the time I was in school, they would have little seasons where the rules would just be open, and then people could just talk to whoever they wanted.
Oh,
And
cool.
there was no, and as a graduate, I didn't really have I don't think they really have a rule on the graduates right now. I don't remember having any relationship rules as a
Okay.
graduate. But
That's new.
Eric being a student at that time, he would normally have to
Oh,
ask
right.
sometimes that,
Gotcha.
if they were, on lockdown over there, if they had decided to close the rules. So I think
Right.
when we started talking, the rules were open anyways, so it was fine.
Right.
So we didn't have to ask or anything. So, so I ended up, talking with him, and I asked different people. So was pretty crazy. I asked different people about Eric, because normally when I would date somebody, I would either ask the Keckles, what they thought about the person. I would ask different people to get an idea of the person and what they're like. So I remember asking the Archibalds as well. I asked them because they said they had met Eric at one of the fellowship meetings before I had gotten there. They had met him because he used to live in Tennessee.
Okay.
So somehow they had, met each other. And they were like, oh, yeah, he's a great guy and everything. We met him. He's great. Archibald even had, like, called one of his friends here in Washington and, was like, well, how's Eric doing? There's a young lady that's, interested in him. So he, like, called one of his friends to just see how he was and stuff. So that was very kind. They wanted to test him out, make sure he was a good fit for me or whatever.
Right.
So that was nice.
Yes.
And then I asked Kenson about him, and the only reason I asked him is because Eric had been a member in Graham before he had went to the school. He had pretty much been in Graham for the whole time he was in NTCC, except for like a little bit. So I asked him, and of course he told me he couldn't really tell me anything because, he's not my pastor, and he told me to talk to Keckle about it instead. So when I talked to Keckle about it, he told me that he didn't know a lot about him, but he said when he saw him in prayer meeting, that he seemed pretty genuine, like the way that he prayed. And he told me, he's like, I heard him praying in tongues, and he seemed, genuine. And
So that's
he
what he's
seemed
doing in prayer meeting? He's checking people out?
checking people out. Exactly. Like, aren't you supposed to be praying? And I didn't ask him how he prayed or about his prayer life, but that's just the information that he offered me.
How weird.
So that was very interesting. Yes, isn't it?
It
And
is.
also, sometimes in services and stuff, he would bring up like things people are doing in prayer meeting, which kind of does tell me that's probably what he was doing during the prayer meetings. But that's just a side thing. Anyways,
It was
so
pastoral oversight, I'm
yes,
sure.
yes, to watch over the flock,
Yes.
and I think Tanya just told me she didn't know anything about him when I asked her. So, people, everybody was cool with it. Nobody had any problem with it. But as we got serious, it just seemed like people were like, oh, snap, they're getting serious. And it was like, as time went on, so in October, there was a conference, and that was the first time that I saw Eric after we started dating. So we started talking in July. So that's just, a few months into our relationship. And at that conference, Tanya brings brings up some guy that's was in a work in I want to say California at the time. I can't really remember where. She brings up some guy, and she's like, "Oh, this guy would be a great match for you," even though she knows I'm dating Eric, which was very interesting because the whole time I'm single and in school and still in Graham, you're not interested
Right.
at all in
Right.
who I'm with or anything like that. But all of a sudden, when I'm in a relationship, then, oh, I have a great match for you. And I told her no because I'm taken. I'm already in a relationship. And she was like, oh, he would have been a good match for you. Okay. And I'm just like,
Wow.
that was weird. Why?
You can't even do that on your own. Like, you can't go where you want to go. You can't do what you want to do. They have to mediate. And now, even with
Yes.
relationships, how weird. Especially when you're
Yes.
in one. That's like almost high schoolish or something, or
It,
middle
it
school.
kind of It kind of is. So we're at the conference, and remember earlier I told you that there's the two churches that are a big friend group, the big clique. So the Leesville Church and the Kansas Church. And the whole time that I was in Bible school and after Bible school, I still hung out with my same friends, which I'm surprised they didn't have a problem with because they were, church members. You're not supposed to
Oh, right.
talk to
Right.
these, how they are. So I would hang out with my people because these were my people. My mom is part of this group, and my best friend is in that
Maybe
group
that's
and everything.
why. You think that's why? Because your mom was there?
I think so because it
Yeah.
would be weird to be like, oh, I can't hang out with you, mom, because they said I can't talk to you guys.
It wouldn't,
So
but they have done that before, so it wouldn't even be weird, but it is weird.
I guess I got some grace, I
Yeah,
guess,
you did.
in my group. And I think I just slid under the radar. There was other things too sometimes, and I'm like, I'm surprised I
Right.
didn't get aired out about anything. But so I slid under the radar. So I brought Eric around to my group because this is my boyfriend. And so at that conference, though, they did not receive him well. And this is what I mean by that. When he was around, they would act kind of friendly towards him, but they wouldn't really talk to him. And then after he would leave or whatever, or if I'm just with them, one on one with whoever it was in the group, they would be like, oh, so, that's who you want to be with. I don't know about him. Like things like that, little comments or anything. Nobody outright said like, oh, I don't want you to date him or anything like that.
Right.
But it was still there. There was like a tension, and my mom was one of the people that did not like him.
Okay,
But
so let
most of
me
the people,
clarify something, because for those of us who were in the organization when, even at a conference in Missouri, you could not, you had to be in the fellowship hall at night at a table with your beloved or your,
in
your,
order to talk,
yes. So you had some freedom there?
no,
Oh, okay.
only at the fellowship. Only at the fellowship
Oh,
we
okay.
could
So you're
talk.
talking about you're in the fellowship, wherever it
Mm-hmm.
is, and you bring him around to say, hey, it's my dude. And they're like
And
holding their nose.
yes, Yeah, so he's sitting at the table, at the fellowship table with us, and nobody's really trying to talk to him or anything a whole lot. It just was kind of, it was just a little awkward. And I could feel that they didn't really want him in our group, you know, because they didn't pick him, which is crazy to me, you know.
Well, let me ask you
And
this. Did he um, come off the wrong way or something? Did he say something stupid? Did they have parsley in his teeth? I mean, what happened?
I, I think I honestly just think they didn't like what he was about because Eric is not really going to play fake with people.
Right.
And he's different in the sense he didn't dress the way everybody else was and stuff. And his, I don't know, like maybe his demeanor or something, they
What
just
do you
were put
mean he
off
didn't
by it.
dress like everyone else? Do
He did
tell.
not dress like everybody. I remember he did not dress like
So,
everybody else. Like
so
the
give me
stuff
an
that he
example
wore
of
on the
someone else and
campground.
him. Can you say?
What, you said give you an example of what?
Of like, oh, well, how did everyone else dress and how did Eric dress?
Oh, everybody was in
Spill the
polos
tea.
and it was like the khakis and the I don't know what the guys were. I can't really.
Like
So just
slacks or
like
something.
regular, yeah, like slacks and a polo or whatever. Um, and Eric would be in these like really. I don't know what's a good. I wish he was here. I could ask him like what type of shirts to call those. But just like the patterns he would wear and stuff, it was just like different. Like he even had this one shirt that was like it had a line down the middle of it, and one side was black, and then the other side was white on the shirt, and it
What?
was kind of like this, you know, this interesting pattern, and
Right.
it was different, you know,
So he
different
was
because
his own
nobody was
man.
out there. Yes, and he had his own style, and he liked to wear scarves even in the summertime, so he would wear scarves a lot with his outfits, and I really don't know any guy
No. So
that was doing
he's
that. You know,
styling. He sounds like he styles.
he was styling. Yeah,
Yeah.
he
All
was.
right.
And so, you know, he looked different. He looked different, even down to the haircut he would wear. You know, it wasn't, even to this day, he styles his hair different because he doesn't want to look like
Right.
anybody else, you know?
Because
And
everybody,
that's
all the
his
men in
personality.
there do look the same. Whether
Yes,
they're black or white
exactly.
or Mexican, they all
Yes.
slick
Look the
it
same.
down. Some of them even
Got the
have
same
little,
haircut.
yep, yep, yeah.
So he did not have that uniformity. So I think that was kind of off-putting probably to them, just like different things like that. So it just was like he was not super well received, and they
Was
didn't
that a
really
positive for
try.
you, though? Was that a drawing card to you? Like, it would seem like someone who is like that would be, alluring in a way, unless you're just so
Oh,
afraid of not going that route.
for me, it was just I don't really
You
remember,
didn't
but
even
I
think of it.
a
You're just
little
like,
bit.
that's who he is.
It was more like that. I just
Yeah.
accepted it
Right,
pretty much.
right.
I was like, okay,
Cool.
a little different.
He left
Okay,
all this out in his interview. He didn't mention any of this, so this is cool.
yeah, it's different from different points of view. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Different points of view. So I just found that kind of took note of that. And I do believe he told you about I think he mentioned in his interview how we tried to talk one time during the daytime in the pavilion. Um, and Gandhi came and told us, he told us that we couldn't be seen out there, but also that we needed to avoid the appearance of
Oh
evil
my
because we
God.
were talking, while there was other people around. I just thought that was pretty crazy. But I do think we had permission to do that. I don't think we were breaking any rules, but I guess it was because we were, I don't know. I
I
don't
was thinking
remember
something
exactly.
crude, like to come up to two people and say that. Did other people hear it or just you two?
Um, I'm sure they did. I'm sure they did. I don't remember anyone talking to me about it, but and then what ended up happening? Some of my friends were pulling up in a car, at the same time when we were walking away. So then I got in the car with them. So they saw at least what was going on. But I
Right.
can't remember if people, the people that were around, I probably didn't really know them or anything.
So,
But
what
I
did
just,
that happen to anyone else that you ever saw at a conference that was talking to each other? Or did
no.
yeah.
Mm-mm.
Mm.
Like the way they came and broke us up like that?
Yeah, yeah.
No, I don't think so. Because if anything did like happen that they thought was, wrong, normally they would just air it over the pulpit. Like, oh, and there's couples going off talking,
Yeah.
by themselves in the dark at night, types of things like that. But I had never seen anybody just like come up and be like, you need to avoid the appearance of evil, but I don't know exactly what the evil thing that we were
No,
doing was,
they just use
which is,
that willy-nilly.
yeah,
And how much,
yeah.
you know what it sounds like? It's like it's one thing if, let's say, your teenage daughter or something is, hey, you two, you just kind of come outside and look on the porch and see what's going on. They know, oh, they're watching. But you have grown adults who claim to be Christians, who have been in or in and out, such as yourself, the Bible school. What are you saying to them? Like, we don't even trust you to.
Yeah.
It's such high control, and it's just
Mm-hmm.
accepted, and you guys just what, broke it up
Everybody
because
just,
he told you to?
yep,
Yep.
yep. So we just had to walk away. And then for me, I was trying not to get in trouble. So I was trying to like hoof it quick, get back to the dorm. So I'm glad my friends had been driving by. So I just jumped in the car with them because Eric was walking so slow. And I was like, we're going to get in trouble. And he was walking super slow. I'm like, oh my goodness. So I tried to tell him to walk faster because we have to walk in the same direction to leave.
Oh, that's
And
funny.
he's walking slow, and I'm behind him, and I'm like, walk faster. He actually was thinking about breaking up with me that day. After that, he's like, what is wrong with her? I'm like, walk faster. Why did you? They told us to leave.
Oh my
So
God.
I was like, I can't break the rules.
Yeah.
So,
Oh yeah,
I was
rules
like,
that are floating rules.
yeah,
It's like, it's a rule now. It won't be a rule in 5 minutes when you're gone. You know.
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. It's just so crazy. So I remember I got back. I was staying in a room out there with my mom on that campground, and I remember I got back and I felt like I had just got caught like sneaking out or something. I was like, Mom. I told her what happened.
We weren't having sex out in the open. Let me just make that clear.
But we have to avoid the appearance of
Oh my
evil.
God. That's so sick and demented to me, just hearing that. Two people sitting talking. I mean, God, it's.
Yeah, it's it's terrible. So I would say that was the first time I saw kind of negativity towards our relationship
Ah,
was that conference
right.
was, you know, seeing people. And I even had introduced him to the pastor that I had at Kansas at the time, the Reddings. I had introduced him to them, and they kind of told me, oh, okay. They said, make sure, I think they told me something like, just make sure you pray about it, make sure that it's the right person. And then they came back and said later on, actually, like after the service later on, they were like, you know what? I'm sorry, I'm sorry for judging so quick. They were like, yeah, kind of just, whatever is right for you, kind of. And so I kind of appreciated that
Wow, that's
because at
really.
first they
That's
kind
a
of had
big
the
deal.
defenses up.
Yeah.
And yeah. So I was like, wow. They came back and told me, like, yeah, if that's the right person for you, it'll, work out, kind of something like that.
Right.
And that was like the only people that were, supportive
Wow.
of it. And I'm trying to remember if there was any other thing that had any incident during that conference, but I think that was it. And then just talking to some of my people from my little clique, about it, they were just like, I don't know. My mom told me she didn't know about him, She didn't know if she how she felt about him, because at
Now,
that point she
wasn't
was in
she at
Graham too.
school with him up in Graham, right?
Exactly. Yep. They were in school at the same time.
Do
So
you
saw him
feel
there.
like at that particular time, I'm not asking you to think for your mom, but did you get any sense that, well, she's saying this and I'm getting grief outside, of like, I have Tanya coming up to me now and suggesting someone else. Is there a concerted effort against this situation, and have they said something to my mom?
No, I
Did you ever think of that or no?
no.
Okay.
Mm-mm,
Right.
I didn't, but they may have.
Right. You don't know. Right. I was just curious if it was something like that, where it was like, this is just obviously a concerted effort.
I I don't even know for certain.
Yeah.
I definitely feel like between the Keckles and the Archibalds, yes. I definitely, even though I don't have actual proof of that per se,
Well,
I
you know how
definitely feel like
close
there
they
was
are.
something.
I mean,
Yeah,
don't her kids like call Tanya like grandma or something? I don't know.
mm-hmm,
Yeah.
they do. They do. They
So,
have like terms of endearment for them and stuff
yes.
like that. They call
Yes.
them their grandkids.
Right.
They're literally like as if they were, blood family or something.
Right.
Which is,
So,
and actually a little side note on that too. During that conference, I remember I had the Archibald kids and I took them to Keckle. They wanted to see him because they would call him Papa, and they said they wanted to see him. So I took the kids up to him. And just a little side note here on that, he was talking to them and giving them like a little pep talk or something. But the things he was saying to him are very interesting. And this is what he told the kids. He said, you guys are very special. You're very special kids. Don't let anybody talk, basically, don't let anybody talk bad about you because you're special. And, there's going to be people in the world that are going to try to, basically come against you. But no, like, keep Jesus first, kids, or
yeah. Right. Right.
it's like, no, people are going to be haters. And
Yes.
you're don't let people be haters, kind of.
Wow, that's
Tough.
very odd. How old were the kids at the time?
They were pretty young, like they were still like elementary age.
So they were probably like,
I,
"What? Nothing about candy or a hamburger?"
like, look here, people are gonna come against you. Your
Wow.
enemies. It was very.
That's
You could
weird.
just see this kind of how he acts, and he's like trying to pour that into them. So when they grow up, because of how they idolize him, they'll think like, yeah, these people are coming against me,
Yes.
saying bad
Yes.
things about, and I could just see that's what he's pouring into him. Like, I mean, pouring into them, and that was really like the only. I didn't really get to see him with kids all the time or anything, but just the times that I did, it just seemed like that was kind of what that's what he's pouring into the children, and
And that's
it's
very
like,
interesting because just backtracking a second, we were talking about what it's like for pastors and helpers actually in the church that, realize everybody has to dig in and do their thing. Um, Tanya and Mike have been renowned for just pulling up at the last minute, running into church. But even when I was up there and the church opened to the public, and then we all of us ladies with kids had to start doing children's church classes and all, she never did. She would just drop off her son
oh
all
wow.
of that time. I don't think she ever, up until the time we left there in 2005 to go to Virginia, she
Mm-hmm.
hadn't once. And I always felt like they would never, they didn't know what was going on in the children's church classes. Like, you'd think if I'm one of the pastors, I might come a little early and circulate around or something,
Yeah.
and they were never that way. It almost seemed awkward for them.
Hmm. To do that. I will say, I did see Tanya one time at a fellowship meeting. She watched the kids one time, I remember.
Oh,
I
wow.
saw that once. Yes. They
Interesting.
needed, I guess they needed a help or something. And she was like, oh, I'll do it. So she watched them during the service.
Very
I saw one
interesting.
time. That's,
Right. Right. I've
that's
never
what I
heard, and
remember.
I ask people all the time, so I appreciate that you know, put the balance there, but it's a balance that
Mm-hmm.
needs a long way before it's balance. Like
Before it's,
it's
yeah.
like when the fat kid sits on the seesaw and it just goes to the ground. It takes a lot more to get on that other side to balance it out,
Yeah.
you know, and that's she's operating in a deficit. And maybe that hit her at some point. I don't know. I mean, good for her for doing
Maybe.
it one time
Or,
or maybe more than one time. So that's good. Cuz that's how it should be.
yeah. Yep.
That's how it should be. You should be the
That's
one
very
to do
true.
it. No one needs to hear her. I mean, her singing has gotten so god awful that it just sounds like howling or like a injured animal, and I don't know why she continues to do that. I don't know. Are you delusional, or you're just like you're going to hear me sing whether you like it or not? I don't know.
Yeah. I just think with that, it just seems like she wants to be the person that, yeah, like
Yeah.
she just wants to be the one. Because I remember she would be hogging the solos
Yeah.
in the. I was in the choir in grade,
Oh, is that right?
and yes, I was in the choir, and I remember there would be songs sometimes, and it seemed like there would be another voice that might fit the song better. Like there were songs her voice was good for, and then there were other songs that sometimes seemed like another person would be good for, or they would do auditions, but she would still be the one singing it, and it's that was interesting to me.
Yeah, because when some of those ladies now will sing a special, I mean, of course, they sing the same few songs. It's very rare that there's a new one. But some of them just have really pretty voices. And
Mm-hmm.
it's like,
There's some very talented people.
right, right.
So,
And you know what? Poor Jeff Malone, I mean, part of me feels sorry for him, but part of me doesn't because I know he has been witness to many situations with people where Keckle has gone over the pulpit and lied, and Jeff Malone was there to witness what really happened. And he's,
mm,
you know, when you stay around for that, when you still support that, man, where's the point where you just,
mm-hmm.
you know, do the right thing? And a lot of people
Yeah,
that have that testimony, and so he's a he really is a tool of theirs. He's
yeah,
he's their tool, and
mm-hmm.
if they say jump, he says how high, and it's all he's
Yeah.
known for a really long time, for a really long time.
We were talking about, I think we were talking
Oh, talking
about
about
that
Eric.
conference
Yep, yep,
and how the people received him and stuff. And
right.
after that, I don't know where I went with it after that, but pretty much that was just kind of just something I noted, like how my family and friends and stuff received him. And so when we get back to Florida after that conference, we're still talking and stuff. We fought different things. We ended up fighting actually almost every time while we were dating. When we would see each other in person, we would end up fighting, normally because of some crazy like something to do with the rules and something like that. So we ended
Right.
up fighting. Um, but we powered through. We stayed together.
Hey,
Um,
that's normal
um,
stuff.
yeah, just normal. Yeah, just relationship stuff.
Except having the organization in the way, really.
Trying to, yeah, come in between it, or trying to control it the way
Yep.
that
It's
they
stressful.
wanted. A little bit. A little bit. 'Cause then when I got home, or back to Florida, I remember Sister Archibald telling me, oh, someone in Graham told me that, you know, Eric, he wasn't raising his hands during the worship. He didn't really, pretty much like he wasn't engaging
Oh my
during the worship.
God.
And if you know anything about, the dating these days at NTCC, that they kind of base it a lot of how do you respond during the worship? And they
Yes.
tell everybody to get up and raise your hands and, why aren't you clapping? And
I'm
like, I
surprised
remember
they don't say Simon Says, because that is what it is. It's Simon Says worship, right?
it's time to
Why
worship.
can't you just worship the way you want? God, because then they
It's
can't
just
get a temperature reading on you. That's why.
exactly, yep, exactly. Like, are you going along with all of this or not? Do you have your
Jeez.
own mind? Like, oh, we can't have that. Nope. Need to. So, someone told her, oh, he's not lifting his hands, and I'm like, I don't know who told her that, but I'm almost 100% sure it was probably Tanya,
Right.
because they're very close and they would talk. But I
Right.
don't know who it was, but somebody told her that, and I remember, thinking what was the angle with trying to tell me that. And I felt like she was telling me that because she wanted me to not, basically think negatively of Eric. Pretty much it seemed to be the reasoning for that. And so I told Eric, because I literally would tell Eric everything, and I told him, we were laughing about it, and he told me, he's not gonna just lift his hands just because they say to, or just different things like that, because he's just like that. He's like, he's got his own mind. If he feels like he
Right.
wants to pray without lifting his hands at that moment, then so be it. So I was like, okay, that's I didn't really need to know his reasoning for it,
And
but I
there's
just found
nothing,
that to be
that's normal. That's healthy. Like, is Jesus really sitting there in heaven going, oh man, look at that guy? Keckle told
not
them all to
raising his
raise their
hand.
hands now, and they didn't. And he didn't.
It's yeah, it just was crazy. Some of the different things like that were
Yeah,
like,
why
it
couldn't they
seemed like
pick
people were
out
trying to,
something positive about him? Like,
yeah,
were there no positive things to say? Man, he's a super nice guy, or he
mm,
does all his work, or makes his bed. I
yeah,
mean, I don't know.
yes. And he was actually genuinely a really, a pretty good brother, over there and stuff. How he would, interact with the people and stuff, and things he
Right.
would do for people. But I didn't hear nothing about any of that. I just heard, oh, he did this in class. You know, different people would tell me, things that
Gossip.
he would do that they didn't, agree with or whatever. And one thing my mom said about him, she's like, he asks a lot of questions in a negative way, though. Like in a like in a class or something, if he was, asking, why they're doing something a certain way or whatever.
Right.
I just found that to be interesting, that the reasons that people typically didn't like him was because of his mindset of just being his own person and not
Right.
just going along with everything. And that was really pretty much the reason why the people that didn't like him, as far as, people in my friend groups and stuff, didn't like him. That just because he was his own person. Normally, whatever the reason that they were saying was, would come to that, come
Right.
back to that.
Right.
Like, he's not like
He's
everybody
not
else.
going along with everybody else.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I'm so glad,
All
though. I'm
right.
so glad, because I can, tell you my story now and how I, got out. And,
He was like the
oh,
literal black sheep of the
yes,
family.
literal. Because he was not going along with all the shenanigans.
Right.
So what we ended up doing was, as a couple, we decided, hey, we're gonna take time and we're gonna pray, and we're gonna pray for the church. We're gonna pray that God opens people's eyes, because we would talk about things that we would see going on in the church, and this was just more on, at least for me, it was just more on a, like, any church you go to, there's going to be things going on that aren't right, and
Right.
people are not going to be right, because it's a church of people,
All
and people
right.
don't, it's just
People are
flaws.
people.
Yeah, there's going to be flaws everywhere. So we were just praying about just different things that we see in the church, and how people were acting, and the whole pastor is the god of the place type of, like, the way people would act and stuff. So
Right.
we were praying about that, and as we were praying, God was showing us different things going on in the church, which would lead to a chapter pretty much where God pretty much was telling, at least telling Eric, not me particularly, but telling Eric pretty much like he's going to end up leaving that place. Like he's not going to stay there. And for me, it just showed me like undercurrents of what's really going on in that place. And one of the main things is the way they control and manipulate people, especially like in their relationships and things. It keeps people stagnant, like in their faith, and they're not able to grow. So I definitely believe you can get saved there, and you can get the Holy Ghost, all those kinds of good things. But the way that the control and the manipulation is, it's very hard to grow in NTCC.
Well, let me ask you this. I have heard, especially on the Facebook page, I have a lot of people come and they try to present an argument that, whoa, but people are getting saved there. So, like, why would you want to expose it or warn others when, but it's like, it's not, that's a wrong way to think to me. Like, even saying,
Yeah.
but, hey, you can get saved there, but no, it's not about being there. It's just about it. Okay, where you're saved does not matter about location. I
Mm-hmm.
am really, I've heard so many people say that to me as an excuse, as a reason why. Oh, what? So for every cult that's out there, let's keep it open because 2 or 3 people got saved. What or how or what if everyone in the building really did? Okay, so that's the reason to keep it open. They couldn't stay saved if they leave there. They couldn't have gotten saved anywhere else. It puts the emphasis back on the group. And I
Mm-hmm.
think that needs to be decimated. I don't know. What do you think about that?
Yeah, yeah, it does. It does because it's not healthy for people. It's not a healthy organization. Just the like pretty much the foundation of the place is not God.
No, no.
So
Even how it
even
was
though
all
they
started,
preach,
everything.
yeah, yeah, it's just it's well, I don't really know like the deep. They said that Davis came out of a Baptist church or something.
Well, it was a Pentecostal, but
Oh, a Pentecost.
right, but it's it's just a matter of how he did it and what
Yeah,
who he
I
was at the time, and so it would like you could even say, Michaela, oh, people are getting saved at that Nazarene church in down the road, or that Baptist church, or that what's that World Church over there in Puyallup. I forget.
uh
You know what I'm talking
oh
about?
uh
It's like a big place, and but it's not about the place. It's it's about. In fact, I heard Devonshire recently. He's promoting the whole thing because he's got Diaz there for 2 weeks. I don't know if Diaz asks to come or if they invite him, but it's like play revival. Like it's and it's about talking about all these old revivals where people got saved there or people got saved over
mhm
here. It's not about the place. And what did
mhm
they do between the time of Jesus's ascension and the first building that ever was, or the first location where people started flocking to? It's just not about that, and I
mhm
I really buck hard against that now. Like, it is not about the
yeah,
building or the organization,
or
and that
or the
takes
person that should
yeah,
get saved
that's
under it,
right.
because that was a thing too. Oh, this was my pastor,
Yes.
and
Oh,
the
that's a
Bible
great
like
point.
literally condemns that, saying, "Oh,
Yep.
I'm of Paul, I'm of
Yes.
Apollos, this
Yep.
is," and I think it's the same thing with location. Like, oh, I was saved at NTCC, I was
Yes.
saved at
Yep.
the Graham Church. I
Yep.
was saved. It's like
Yep.
no, 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 no,
It's not
not
healthy,
about.
and it's all those little things in the bag that make it an unhealthy place, and will
Mhm.
derail people who really are earnest in their search for the
Mm-hmm.
truth and for the gospel mission. I think many are derailed. And because people like Davis and Keckle and Tanya Keckle insert themselves as pray about this or what about that, trying
Yes.
to manipulate your future and your fate in God, and then it
Yes.
becomes a
They're playing
barrier.
God.
Yeah, there's a barrier then between, I think if you're going to start listening to them, then God's like, okay, listen to them, you know.
Pretty much. Yeah. Because it's like it's your own. It's kind of your own judgment
And then you
because
blame it
you're
on
not
him.
seeking
Everybody
God
blames
for
him.
real.
God told me to go to the
You just
Bible
look,
school. Did he? Or were you
or did.
or was it suggested? Or were you
Yep.
made to believe it's a special place?
Mm-hmm.
We all believed
That's.
that and made our way there.
This is very true.
Um,
Very true.
oh, Madonna
Uh,
mia.
so I'm
All
trying
right, so
to
you're back
see.
with the whole thing of the gossipers laying on
Oh
you
yes,
burdens
trying to
about Eric.
insert things about my relationship, right?
Right.
So then we got engaged, and we got engaged. It was Christmas of 2023, I believe, because we dated for 2 years before we got engaged or something. I don't remember.
Right.
I dates are. I'm not good with dates. So at some point we got engaged during Christmas time. So he came, and my mom came and visited in Florida. So we got engaged. Like, okay, we're gonna get married next year. Everything cool. So I decide to leave Florida because I want to come back here. Eric's here. He has to finish school and stuff. So I decide to move back.
Were you met with
And
any problems doing that?
so here's the thing. Nobody was really that excited.
Oh wow.
I don't feel like anybody was genuinely excited. I remember the Archibalds, their daughter. I was very close with their daughter. She cried when she saw the ring when I showed her the ring
What?
because she knew that meant I had to
Oh,
leave.
right. Okay. Aw.
she she did not like. At first, she didn't like him. When she met him, when he came to Florida, she said she liked him a little bit. But her big thing was because he was going to take me away from them, and he
Right.
did pretty much.
Aw. That's cute though
And
that she wanted you to stay.
yeah, so when I got engaged and everything, it just did not really. People were just like, "Oh, okay," And when I got closer to leaving, because now I'm preparing to leave, I actually ended up moving out of my apartment, and I ended up moving into a home with roommates. I ended up renting a home, and we shared the place with it was like 3 or 4 other people, which was actually a complete nightmare. I would never have roommates again. That was
How did
terrible.
you come
But
by getting with roommates? That's a scary prospect, isn't it?
yes,
How did
yes.
you come
And
about doing
people were
that?
concerned. Some people
Yeah.
at the church in Florida were concerned. And I was like, oh, no, it should be good. I met the people and whatever. It was some strangers. Guess who sent it to me, though, on Facebook?
Sent
Take a
sent
wild
what?
guess. Who sent me the place and told me I should look into it?
Oh, I know the answer to this. From Eric. It was Tanya. Was
Tanya!
it her property?
No,
Okay.
no. It was just something she saw, and she just sent it to me because she was part of some of the groups in the Lakeland area, part of
Right.
some of those Facebook groups because I think they were thinking of buying property there and
Well, they
something.
have.
I don't know.
They did. If they don't have one now, they did have one. I have the address somewhere.
Oh, so maybe okay, that's probably why. Then yeah, so they were part of some of those local groups and stuff. So she
Okay.
sent me something from a Facebook group, and so I wasn't going to do that. I was intent on staying in my apartment, but I was struggling very bad
Aw.
to keep paying the rent and stuff, and so I was wearing down, and car
Eric
insurance is
said
really
you were
expensive in
working a
Florida.
lot, right? Like different.
Yeah,
Like weren't you like Ubering or delivering food or something?
DoorDash. Yeah,
Yeah.
I was doing DoorDash, and then I did a like different side hustles on top of my jobs because I had two jobs, but that wasn't really enough, and sometimes it wasn't consistent. Most of it wasn't really consistent. My
Right.
jobs weren't super consistent, and they didn't pay a lot in Florida either.
Right.
So just things like that kind of I was like keeping my head above water was a little bit rough, and Eric was
Aw.
actually helping me a lot to pay for just stuff.
Aw.
And I just remember being like, yeah, I might have to, end up, doing something else, or just, it was going to be hard to stay in my apartment. And so the power of suggestion started though with Archibald, Sister Archibald. She told me, she was like, well, we're going to be coming into a new year soon. You should think about maybe going to a place. And I was like, no, I like my apartment. I really like my apartment. And I like that it was a place where we could have gatherings sometimes.
Oh.
If people wanted to, have a little Bible study or something, I could use it.
Right.
It was a little bit small, but it was big enough to hold a good little handful of people.
Right.
So that was the part of the reason I wanted to stay there. I just thought like, oh, this is a good place. But then Tanya sends me that, and this is how I know they had talked to each other about it. And because Sister Archibald told me, oh, you should think about it, and I told her pretty much, no, I'm not going to do that because I wanted to stay. And
Right.
then Tanya sends me the house, and this was maybe like a few months later. And so then, as I'm still struggling and stuff, I'm like, man, should I do this? Because people are telling me like you should,
Aw.
maybe do something, move somewhere else. And so I'm like, the power of suggestion.
Yep.
So here I go. I'm like, I guess I'm gonna just move into this house with these strangers. So I did. I told my landlord I broke my lease, and I packed up. I moved at the same time I started a new job. So I was able, like, once I got my new job, which that job was from the Lord too. Once I started that job, it helped me to be able to pay for everything. And I know Eric helped me. I'm sure a lot of people probably helped me out to move. So got in there, but that house that I stayed at, it was like a 4 bedroom, like kind of like a ranch style house. And I did actually still do a church event sometimes in that house, which was pretty cool. We did some things in there still, but the roommates I had were like not good, and
In
things
what
like
way?
paying the rent and stuff
Oh.
was not good. And then they had people in there sometimes that were, kind of crazy, and some of them themselves were crazy. So
Oh man,
it
that's
ended up not
terrible.
being good. It looked great on the outside when it started, though. The
Right.
first like month was great, and then all the problems started. So I stayed there for, I want to say, maybe was it even a year? I don't know if it was a whole year. It was probably a little bit less than a year, but I stayed there for a little bit. But it was,
Really?
yeah, it wasn't. It was not
Ideal.
fun the
Yeah.
whole time. It wasn't ideal. Yeah, it was not the best setup for me. And I found out later we ended up hosting one of the like a regional conference in at the Central Florida church.
Right. I remember
Um,
that. I remember seeing that online.
you saw it, yes.
Yeah.
So we ended up hosting, and I remember I saw Tanya, when she came, and I actually think we celebrated her birthday too at the same time because they love to throw those birthday parties.
Yeah, they
So we
do.
also celebrated her birthday, and we were taking pictures at the photo wall because there always has to be a photo
There
wall,
has to be a photo
and
wall.
it has to be a photo wall. The balloon arch. There wasn't a balloon arch this time. And she told me, she asked me how it was going at the house, and she said, oh, Sister Archibald told me that the place you were living wasn't good, and it was, not safe or something along those lines. And I realized right then they conspired this. They put it together basically, like they talked about it, and then she saw that place or whatever, and then was like, oh, this is, a place for MAKALA to stay. and sent me that. So this whole suggestion thing is just like going, I don't know. I just
I don't
found that
know
to be,
why anyone who cares about a young lady, I mean, this is just me personally, would suggest to them that it's a good idea to move in with a group of people you do not know, because very likely it's going to go sideways pretty fast. That's just life and human nature.
yeah,
And I feel like you just believed, the suggestion that,
I
oh,
did.
this is a
I
woman of
did.
God. Of course, she's going to not steer me the
Yeah,
wrong way. When, how is that ever a good idea? Would she ever do that?
probably not.
Would she want her own daughter to do that if she had a daughter? Who would want that for their child? I don't know. I don't get it, but that's just me.
Yeah,
That's just
yeah.
me.
So it was a blessing and a curse at the same time, because having cheaper rent was a blessing in its own way, and
Came with a
then
cost,
having
though, didn't it?
hmm?
It came with a cost.
It did come with a cost. It came with a crazy cost, because some of the people in that house were crazy for real,
Yeah.
and we had to. Yeah, that's a story for another day, though. That's not what we
Yeah, I do
came
want
to
to
talk
hear that
about.
at some point. I like a
Well,
good crazy person story.
yeah, I have a lot of stories from that
All
house.
right. Oh, cool.
So so now I'm getting ready to, move back, and Eric and I were praying for the church, and the Lord is pretty much showing Eric. He like even told me a few times. He's like, I don't think I'm gonna stay, in this church for forever, pretty much, because he thought at a certain point that he was gonna stay at that church. He had gotten saved there, and I believe when he was attending, wait, did he get saved there? I know he got the Holy Spirit while he was attending NTCC, but I can't remember if he actually got saved at NTCC.
Right.
I have to ask him. But he was pretty, convinced he was going to stay there. But just the things the Lord was showing him and telling him, he said, I don't think I'm always going to, be here. And I thought this. I said, okay, well, he may think that he's not going to do that. He may think he's not going to be a pastor. He's in Bible school. He's probably going to end up, the Lord will tell him to be a pastor, because I'm still very much, I'm I'm in.
Right.
I'm in all the way.
Right.
So, but when he was telling me I may not stay, I thought this. I was like, well, we're going to get married. He's going to graduate. And then whenever he decides to leave, he can just leave, but I'll keep going to church and we'll still be married.
Right.
And this was my thinking in my head. Like, this is how it'll go down if he decides to leave. But the time comes, for me to move back. So I moved back to Graham in June of 2024. So yeah, and that graduation period, because graduation's in June.
Yeah.
My mom was graduating, so I wanted to move back before she graduated. And then I'm like, well, I'm getting married, so I might as well, instead of flying in, I should just move there and be there for graduation and then get married.
Right.
So I decided to do that. So I go back. Eric leaves within 2 weeks of me being back.
I remember.
He leaves the church.
Yeah, I remember.
And I'm like, what just happened? My whole little plan, like, oh, he'll leave at some point, and then I'll be going to church still, and like everything just, he didn't finish school. It just was
Well,
like, okay.
I remember watching the streaming then, and I knew that Keckle was on somebody's butt every service. And he kept looking over. If you looked at the podium, he was looking to the right, but it would have been to his left. And, of course, I come to find out later it was Eric. And
Yep.
he was harassing him. He was literally harassing him. And I remember the night he announced that you were in church. I think you were sitting maybe in the center. And he announced, oh, she's going to marry this guy, or something like that. And then it wasn't long. It was out.
After that, I believe it was 2 weeks, if I'm not mistaken. I think it was like, it may have even only been 1 week, but I'm pretty sure it was like 2 weeks or a week and a half. And he was like, I'm out of here, pretty much.
Yeah.
And my whole little plan came crashing, and I said, okay, it was, I had to make a decision. And here's what was going on, though. There was like a few different things that were going on, because I don't remember exactly when William Davis left, but when he left, it just seemed like Keckle knew that they would talk to each other and stuff. So I believe he was convinced that Davis basically just poisoned Eric's mind, and basically this is why Eric is acting up and not, going along with my little plan, or whatever. So
Yes.
when I was about to, like, right, maybe like a couple weeks before I left Florida, Keckle texted me, and he told me,
And here I've included a portion of those texts between MAKALA and Mike, strictly to show her desire to hear from Keckle what to do, which the dynamic that's in place is obvious. It's none of his business. If she asked, is he a thug? Does he not pay his bills or something? As a pastor, asking that. But beyond that, do MAKALA and Eric not have enough about them that they can figure it out? Whether they are for each other or not? Why does this guy have to get involved? Why did Davis have to get involved, R.W. Davis, in relationships? Why? It's none of his business. Go play your guitar.
I don't, you don't know what you're doing. I don't really know this guy, pretty much, about Eric.
Well,
Telling me
you've talked to him before getting married longer than anybody in the history of the organization, probably,
And had more contact.
Yes.
And just so many things, because the way they changed the dating scene over there. But I don't know this guy, babe. He's like, I don't know him, and you don't know him, so you should be careful, pretty much. And the reason he was telling me that is because Eric was questioning some of the things, and that was actually one of the very things, because over in Graham, they were like trying to close the rules, and at one point, Keckle was saying, or actually at many points, he was saying, and this was directed at our relationship, he was telling him, you can't get to know somebody just over the phone, or something along those lines. And Eric challenged that.
Yes.
And asked him, didn't you, pretty much, that's the only way you talk to your wife? And I think they wrote letters or something. I don't know their whole story, but, and he challenged that, and he wasn't really able to give an answer.
No.
But then be quick to close the rules, though. I remember, like, a little bit during our engagement, I couldn't even talk to Eric because the rules were closed. And
so how spiteful is that? That is just a spiteful man.
Yes. Well, it just seemed to be, I don't know the exact reasoning, but there just seemed to be a certain point, especially after we got engaged, that he did not want us to get married. And I don't know if it even was that he didn't want us to get married, or he didn't want me to get married. It just seemed like he was trying to, like, use us like pawns in some kind of way, but for whatever reason, he picked us and did not want us to get married. I don't really understand.
It's none of his business.
But it's all about control.
Yes.
Anyways, but so he kept, like, kind of closing the rules and stuff. And I remember at one point, the rules got closed, and this is also a little bit before I left too. The rules got closed, and I was talking to Eric, but I didn't know. And my mom called me, and she knew that I would, like, I might have said, like, oh, I just talked to Eric, or something, something like that.
Right.
And she said, the rules are closed, right? If you're talking to Eric, you can't be talking to him. You're going against what, Keckle said, and you're breaking the rules. And I was like, what? Just the way that she was being towards me was just not, not normally like her.
Mm.
And she was just kind of going off about that. And I said, okay, okay. So I told Eric, and he told me like, yeah, they're closed. And normally he would tell me like, hey, I won't be able to talk to you because, the rules, they closed the rules. But there was like one point they got closed again, and we were like, whatever, we just were still talking because
Yeah.
nobody had time for that. And I'm like,
Yeah.
we're trying to put a wedding together. We're trying to,
Yeah.
like, got things to do. I can't. But
No, and there's nothing spiritual about that or godly
there
about
is
that or
not.
anything.
There is not. And I just remember I took note of also just that interaction with my mom that day too. I'm like, this is crazy. Like, why is she acting like this? Like, you're going against the rules. And like I should be like almost like her acting like that, like I'm supposed to be crying and repenting or something. It just the way she
Wow.
came off at me.
Right.
So I get back, and yeah, the services are going that way. Like everything's kind of directed at him, and then there's that service where he took his glasses off, and he's
Oh
all,
yeah. Oh, I
everyone's
remember that.
laughing at him.
Yeah.
Oh, so you want to laugh when he was talking about his boot camp
Yep.
and all that
Yep.
stuff. So all that happens, and I'm trying to think if there was anything else that had happened before he left. That I don't think
Was
there
there
was
any
anything.
sort of so was there any sort of contact between the Keckles and you or them and your mom, like calls or texts or anything that would have shown what was going on, or no? It was just iced, were you just iced out and just this is the rules and you got to follow it, or
Well, cause she was a student too, so she knew.
oh
Yeah,
right,
she knew what was
but
going
you
on. Yeah,
weren't, and Eric was still there at the time.
yeah, he was still in school.
Okay, yeah.
He was still in school. So I'm trying to. So yeah, there was just like little jabs being thrown, and he knew even in classes, like things were being like jabs being thrown, especially about long distance dating. I think he has said something about that before. It's like Eric just knows, like we're the only couple doing a long
Yes.
distance. He's the only student dating long distance, so
Right.
he just knew like all the stuff was directed at him, and so he had text Keckle after that service, the one Keckle took his glasses
Gus.
off and all that,
Yeah.
and said, if you have a problem with me, pretty much like we can talk about it. And that kind of just set off basically a whole, they were going back and forth, and their feet are remember when I said, oh, when else it's still perfect.
Yeah.
Was very much. I mean, my guys are in all child and I could be so I be I was at one of my second jobs, one of my other job, because I started working a night job and a day job
Oh my
at the
God.
same time. So I don't remember like all the little details because I was tired. So I don't remember every
Yeah.
little detail about that. But I just remember I was crushed. I was like, no, he's leaving. So he pretty much told me he's out, and he left. He packed up and went and stayed with a friend of ours. And there was like a service after that or so. Keckle asked me, how are you doing? And he's like, yeah, Eric, he had some pretty something like he had some mean words for me or something to that extent, basically saying that Eric was being mean to him.
Right.
And just like that, though, literally just like that, he had some pretty mean stuff to say to me. And he asked me, are you okay? Because I'm wounded now because, my husband to be left the church.
Right.
So they're
Right.
thinking, oh, well, she's not going to leave because her mom's here.
Right.
So what else happened? But he blamed it on Davis. Even in that conversation when he was like, how are you doing and everything, he blamed it on Davis. Like Davis corrupted Eric, therefore Eric is just acting crazy. That was his little narrative for it. So kind of being like, oh, it's not his fault. It's Davis' fault. William Davis corrupted him. And
They give nobody um the credit for thinking for themselves.
exactly. It's like, and then I'm pretty sure he thought that you corrupted Davis. I'm not sure exactly how he looked at it, but it was pretty much once Eric left, it was like you, Davis, Eric are all my enemies. That was pretty much all the
Right.
services.
Right. Oh yeah, that was
Everybody
fun to
that preached.
watch. He was flipping out. Such a man of God who could stay focused on,
Yes.
the task at hand. No, he's like Ego. He's if he was a
Mm-hmm.
super villain, it would be Ego. That's what it would be. Cuz that's what it was all
That
about.
that's what. Yes, that was what. Yeah, that was pretty crazy. And I even remember Kenson preaching a message like, "You need to, uh, you know, talking about being on like there was a lot of services about whose side are you
Oh
on type of
yeah.
thing." And I remember he preached this sermon like, "You need to make a choice," and I knew that one was to me because I had to decide, if I was going to be with Eric or if I was going to stay there. And
Yep.
I'm like, this is just crazy. So graduation comes around and my mom graduates and there's like some other of our good friends that graduate. And I remember the night after it, everybody comes home and I'm about
You
to go
mean in the
talk to Eric.
dorm? You mean in the dorm?
Yes, yes,
Okay.
I'm in the dorm. Oh,
Right.
and when I come back to stay after I came back from Florida, I was staying in a graduate dorm, and my mom was staying in the same dorm as me. So I come home into the dorm, and my mom is there, and she sees that I'm about to go and talk to Eric, and she's like, "You're still talking to him?" And this is like maybe a week after. I think it was like a week or so afterwards. And I mean, after he leaves. And
Right.
she's like, you're still talking to him? And she got so mad at me for still deciding to, have a relationship or entertain a relationship. And at that time, I kind of also myself, I was thinking, like, should I stay in this relationship, because it was pretty much if I stay in this relationship, I was more than likely going to leave. I knew that I would pretty much have to leave.
Cuz you would
Once
be
once
hounded.
Oh yeah, that too. And then also we're as when you marry somebody, it's like you're one with that person and you're supposed to be a union. And
Yep.
how would it look if I'm married to this guy, but he goes to this church and I go to this church, and it's like as a family unit that doesn't really make sense. That it
Well,
just wouldn't
it
make
it
sense. So
I get that, but let's say that you did go to different churches. The difference would be probably the church wherever Eric was going, he wasn't going to hear all this stuff over the pulpit, this
mm-hmm.
dreck being dumped. Whereas you were going to be hounded over the pulpit and every other place until you
Oh yeah.
complied.
Yep. And they would be trying to control it, still trying to control our marriage. They would try to
Yes.
control me
Yep.
to get to him.
And
So
that
there
would
there
put a
was
lot
just a
of
lot of reasons.
stress. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. There was like a lot of reasons like it just not to do that. So I'm weighing all this pretty much like what should I do and everything. And my mom this is where I saw how this place literally was holding me captive. And I didn't see it until I tried to like get out of it, I wasn't even trying to necessarily get out of it at that moment. I was just thinking about it, and everybody was acting crazy. So my mom started, when I would go grocery shopping or something, she started like going through my bags, like looking at my stuff, and then like
How did
going
you
through my
know?
mail. She got very suspicious of me because I would see her do it. I would just look
Oh,
at her do it.
yikes.
And again, the whole thing with I couldn't really advocate for myself because I didn't really know how, and I'm very agreeable. So I was just
Right.
like, okay, this is weird, but I'm taking note of these things. Like
Plus,
she
it's
got
your
very
mom.
suspicious of me,
Plus, it's your
and
mom.
yes, it is my mom, and that's a whole thing
That
in
adds a
itself. Like,
whole dynamic that's very difficult.
so I see my mom kind of she told me later, she said she was scared during this time, and this is why she did some of the stuff that she did. But for me, I'm just looking at it and I'm like, this isn't normal. But it was like she was, by me even questioning leaving NTCC, it was like she was losing some type of control over me, because being in that place was almost like her way of controlling, but I didn't realize that until I thought about leaving and marrying Eric. So there's just like these weeks of like things like that. Like she would be looking at like, what am I doing? What am I, where am I going? Once Eric left, I'm like, I'm a graduate. I don't need to ask anybody anything. So I would go and see Eric, and she'd be like, well, you better be keeping it holy while you're go,
Oh
going
my
out
God.
there. And just things like that. She would come up to my room and like just at weird moments, and just to see what I was doing. Pretty much, it was like she was just monitoring me
Right.
constantly, and what I was doing and where I went and I knew it was because she felt that like whatever this thing binding me to this church was, it was like she was losing that. And so during this time too, some of the things that she was like telling me was kind of just not good, just not good things. Like she was telling me things like, oh, if you marry him, like he's gonna leave you, like he left the church, and just different things like that. And I I tried in a sense to kind of, not tell her not to talk about our marriage like that, but that didn't stop her in any way. She still just kind of doubled down on what she was saying. So even when I would try to, defend Eric or whatever, didn't it did not really help. And I remember there was this day, and it was almost like a setup now that I think back, but I don't think it was. It's just what happened, just the things of chronological time. So I go out with her, and then one of our friends, um, one of the friends from the clique group from Leesville, one of the friends from Leesville, because they had one of the families from Leesville had come to the Bible school.
Oh,
So
okay.
they're in school now. So they're like her best friends. So like it's like our friend group reunited, type of
Right.
thing. And so this is also, though, the lady that we went out with is also my best friend's mom. So we're like double close because of that. So it's
Like
my
almost like
mom, and
family,
then
right?
yeah, we're like a big family.
Yeah.
We're like, and we're just super close. And so they were like, oh, let's go to lunch. And it was like a Sunday after the morning service. So we go out we went to the mall. We're, hanging out. And the friend, she needed to go to like lens crafters to fix her glasses. So as we're going into the store, I hit I had my engagement ring on, and I hit it on the side of something. I was like, oh no, my ring. I like scraped it. And my mom goes, you still got that ring on? Why? I don't understand why. So while we're walking into the store, she's like kind of starting her little rant about why I'm still wearing a ring when Eric's not at the church anymore. Then the friend, she goes up to the counter, and my mom grabs my arm, and she says, let me talk to you. I need to talk to you. Why? And she just kind of keeps on with the rant. And I like remember she was gripping my arm so tight, and just going on about, how I'm not right in the head because I'm trying to, stay with him, stay with Eric. And we get, so, that happens. And then I'm just like, okay, whatever, mom. I kind of, at this point when that happened, I just listened and said whatever, but I didn't, I knew I wasn't going to change my mind pretty much at this point about Eric. So I'm just like, you can say what you're going to say, but it's not going to deter me. But I was still thinking about whether or not I would stay at the church or not. I had to consider whether or not I would stay. So that happens. We go back to the car, and we're about to leave to go back to Graham, because we were in South Hill. We get in the car, And my mom is still kind of going on about the different things. And I said something. I wrote it down what I said. I said, because she's like, why would you like even think about leaving pretty much? Like, why? So are you going to, I think it was like that. Are you going to leave because he left? And I was like, well, sometimes God calls you out of Ur of the Chaldees. And Ur of the Chaldees is the place that Abraham lived in Genesis. And that's where God told him, take your family and go. And he took a lot with him and all
Yes.
that. So I just felt at this time, I felt like this was kind of what was happening to me. Like God was literally calling me kind of up out of this, and it's for a purpose. There's like, it's not like, oh, I'm just gonna leave God or anything. It's like, no, like your time here is over pretty much. It's kind of what it was seeming like, but I was still wrestling with that. And I told them this, and they both like started yelling at me. They literally started yelling at me like, God would never tell you to leave your family, and just like coming so strong at me, telling me like, they told me I didn't have the Holy Ghost if I left,
What?
basically, like for thinking about leaving. Like, God wouldn't tell you to do that. That's not the Holy Ghost. You don't have the Holy Ghost. Eric doesn't have the Holy Ghost. Like, yes,
Why are
yes.
you
And they're
leaving your
like,
family just because you leave a group?
that's what I'm saying. Like, we can hang out. I just don't go to your
Right.
church
Exactly.
because I don't want to be part of this church anymore.
Right.
And then my mom was like getting upset. So then the friend's like, you're making your mom upset. And I was just, it was just like a lot. It was just a lot. And in that moment, I knew I was not staying in there. That was literally the deciding factor. I'm like, if you're acting like this and I'm just thinking about it,
Right.
I was
Right.
like, no, there's no way. This is insane. And I never knew any of this until I actually decided to leave or thought about leaving.
Right.
That's how this place was pretty much. And I'm like, this is insane. And these are like, this is the friend, her name is Chrissy Snodgrass, and
Oh,
they
the
are like the
Snodgrasses all
kind of,
just graduated, right? Three of them made
yes,
up a third of the
yes,
graduates.
exactly. So this was a really close family to me, and to see that happen and the things they said, I was like, okay, no, this isn't.
Was that normal
Because
behavior for them at all? Had you ever seen signs of that
no,
kind of behavior?
never, never. In fact, one of my other childhood best friends had left the church in like some years ago when we were all in Junction City, Kansas. And when they left, they said things like, oh, I don't believe just because you leave the church that you're not, a Christian anymore. Like, they were always of that mindset. So it just, I don't know. I don't know what happened between then
Well,
and
they went to
when
Graham and they hooked up
yeah.
with the
I guess
leadership.
so. That's
Because I,
pretty
I
much.
find it hard to believe that there was no interaction between your mom and the Keckles at all during that time. I mean, maybe there
Oh
wasn't.
yeah, I'm sure there was. I'm sure they talked or whatever
I
or
mean, if you
something.
already had people gossiping to you when you were in Florida about Eric.
Hmm. You're right. Yeah, there. I'm for sure. Yeah, there was. So I don't know of anything particularly, but I'm
Right.
sure that there. Yeah,
Because
I'm sure
that
that
would be
there.
something that would make sense because, the people who are strident view those people as if they are the oracle of God. So your
Hmm.
mom very possibly very much believed that harm would befall you and that bad times were ahead because you were leaving God, not just
Hmm.
some group, but God. And that to a mom is probably, as you know, as one now, and you will as he gets older, I can see why she would be distressed, and especially if it's against her normal behavior.
Yeah. Yep.
It's not like you're like,
It's
nah, she's over the top all the time. But
it's like totally outside of the, yeah.
yes. Yeah.
Well, okay, not 100%. There were, but still,
Right.
just not with the norm.
Right.
And then we had went to, so someone, there was a wedding. There was a wedding that we went to during this time as well. And when we went to the wedding, the same thing. My mom again, started, and this time she was saying that I was out of my mind or something like that to people. Like, I don't know what's wrong with her. She's like portraying me as crazy for
Wow.
for thinking about leaving. And she told this to Kenson at the wedding, and he told her, and this actually did calm her down a little bit though. He told her pretty much, that if she stays with him, pretty much that she's gonna leave. And I think he might have said something to the extent like, if you really, pretty much, you can't, she's got to make a decision, she's gonna have to make that decision and stuff. And then thus all those messages of, you need to make a choice,
Yeah, yeah.
all that,
It
what
was
side of the
obvious what
camp are
that
you
was
going?
about. Very obvious.
Very obvious. And so she did calm down a little bit after he told her that, and he was right. He was
Yep.
right.
They know when
So
people are ready to leave. They've seen it so
they,
much through the
mm-hmm,
years. They know. They see the look, they see the countenance changing, and they
mm-hmm.
know they're not on board anymore. They're not compliant. So they do their damage control
Oh yeah,
to those who are still in and close to the person who's leaving.
yep. And then let me see. I refer to my notes here.
Yep. Do what you
Um,
got to do.
Around the same time, they started, part of the damage control as well was this whole ministers can only talk to ministers, students can only talk to students, and church members only talk to church members. This
Wow.
was when they were like, it was like two services, and they like made that announcement. They were like, everybody remember, ministers only talk to ministers. And
They said it in a
I
church service?
they said it in a church service, and I
Can
believe
you
twice
imagine
in a
being a
church
church
service.
member
To
sitting there like, what is going on? I'm a grown adult.
Yes, like, you can't trust God and people to not,
No, because
do
they don't
whatever. I
know
don't even know
God. Yeah.
what they're trying to keep them from, but that was always a big thing. Like, oh, you can't talk to the church members
Yeah.
because maybe like one person like 5 years ago, left the church because of bad relationship or something like that, and so it's like, yeah, we have to control everything.
Yep. No, that
And
started with
it's
Davis. No one was
oh
allowed
really?
to talk to the church members. Leave them alone.
Wow.
Just leave them alone.
Yes,
Even if
that's
you
exactly
brought
what they
them,
would preach.
even if you brought somebody and they were starting to quote unquote get in, you were to acquiesce and move away, which that person did not understand why the friendship changed and the
Mm-hmm.
dynamic. And they thought they had done something wrong. I had several people ask me that. One or two ended up going to Bible school and then they learned. But
Mm-hmm.
in the interim, you know, you're told, nope, leave them alone. You hear about fellowship, they want to know about fellowship. Nope, that's not for you. It's
Mm-hmm.
like
It's
it's
just,
yeah, it's we're going to
just,
divide and conquer. We're just going to make sure everybody's an island so that when we want to sink that island or set it on fire, we can and it
mm-hmm.
won't harm anyone
I gotta
else,
have,
but they don't realize that all they're doing is, it's just been going on for so long now, Michaela, that I don't know. For me right now, I'm starting to lose sympathy for people who are still in because so much has been said and done, especially this recent couple months of defending abusers and everything where Sharia is
mm-hmm.
concerned. That's 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 a
Yeah.
sick place, and I don't know how people stay, but I do understand the brainwashing dynamic.
Mm-hmm.
So most of me is like has a tender heart and sympathy, And, you know, I wait to welcome anyone once they leave, you know.
Once they, yeah.
Yep,
Once they
absolutely.
get out of there, yeah.
Yeah.
And that's really why I even doing the interview. I
Right.
just kind of to appeal to people that are in there, because I know people that are there are going to watch this, and it's like, hey, I'm telling you my story. It's not a gossip thing. It's not a, you know, oh, I hate the man of God. You're a
No.
pastor. Like, no, I'm calling out. Like, this is what they did. This is what they do. This is not about the work of the Lord at
Right.
all.
Right.
And
Because if
that's,
it
yeah,
was, it would be, you'd see signs of it somewhere after all this time. But all you
yeah,
see is the Keckles enriching their coffers and
yep,
people's business coming over the pulpit and being humiliated
mm-hmm.
and controlled.
Getting their business aired out and stuff. Oh, who were they talking about?
They run people
Mm,
off. They can't blame anyone else for that. They can't
yeah,
blame anybody else for that because they're the ones that are saying and doing all these things that people finally realize, wow, there's not only a double standard. Keckles can do what they want, everybody can do what they want at the top, but the rest of us, we have to fall in line. We have to worship as we're told to worship in the church show every night that it's on. And when you are out and you see it, it's creepy.
yeah.
It's
It
creepy
is.
and it's
It
sad,
is.
and you just want to go and stand at the gate and literally rescue people. But
Yeah.
no one will be rescued till they are convinced
Yeah.
themselves. None of us could.
Mhm. Yep.
None of
It's
us
like
could.
your
And we
eyes
all
have to be
defended.
open.
Yep. And so I'm so happy that you made the right decision. Of course, that's my humble opinion, but I don't think you regret it.
No, not even a bit.
Yeah.
Not even a bit.
Yeah.
Mm-mm.
And you have freedom now, but it's not like freedom to party, freedom to be,
It's,
you know, I'm going to the bar on the corner and I'm going to live for the devil. You know, but
but
that's how
that's
it's
the way they
portrayed.
act, though.
Yep, it's how it's. But
That's,
you have freedom now, make their own decision. I think there's a little bit of jealousy too, that comes maybe people seeing, well, look, they are living their life, and they're going forging ahead, and you know I don't know. I just hope for all good things for you and your little family.
oh, thank you.
You're
Thank you.
welcome.
Yeah, we're very, yeah, very blessed to have our eyes opened and got it out of there for sure.
Yes.
Yes, this. Uh,
I thought that uh was a great place to land for the ending here. And at some point we'll do part 2. Thank you for the investment of time to Michaela and Eric and their little buddy.